Okay, Saturday morning in the kingdom, we still have power. The lights did flicker a couple of times last night while I was watching a movie with boobies. Yes, it was unreal, but the power stayed on. It could have been trees falling on the hydro line, you never know, because that hydro line was last brushed back in 2008. Yes, so the hydro company is not maintaining the lines like around the kingdom here and in WHO-ville. So now with the great fires around, it's catching up to hydro and the people involved. Yes, if they brush the hydro line on a regular basis, you're saving money. Now you're not saving any money by not brushing it because now we have fires. All right, this morning we woke up to plus 10, but feels like plus 50. Yes, we went from having the air conditioner going the other day and eating last sandwich because it was too hot in the house to cooking fish sticks in the oven at 425 to warm up the house, and it's going to be chilly today. All right, and Johnny G's heading to Thompson with a load of fish, and hopefully he brings back supplies. Yes, and also too, according to the 511 government website or wherever road information, the road out of WHO-ville is closed, but that's normal. We're not sure what's going on there. It's the government website, so that says it all. All right, let's scroll this way. It's going to get windy again today. It was windy last night. Now I know how those three little pigs felt when the big bad wolf was blowing on their little house there. All right, the sun is out, the winds are getting up, and we're going to have fires again today. Hopefully the wind stays in the direction so we're not inhaling all that smoke. All right. Oh, I'm in rough shape today. But I slept good last night because the house was chilly and the dogs weren't jumping all over the bed in fear of a thunderstorm. All right, so we're getting a lot of projects completed here during the fires. Yes, the exhaust stack on the welder. A year later, we got it on, but the main thing is we got it done. All right, we're right back where we started, in front of the tank shed. These poor flags are taking a licking and keep on ticking. I don't know why there's so much wind in the new world we now live in. That's why I moved up here, because there was no wind compared to when I grew up down south. Now it's just as windy up here as it is down south. Unreal. We better go. Here comes the boss and a cop. Oh, this is lame ass. Oh well. All right, let's get to work.
Saturday morning in WHO-ville. It's almost 9 a.m. and I'm just getting ready to head over to the kingdom to see what my dad's up to. As you can see, it is pretty windy out here already. Yesterday it was on and off raining, which is good. That helped keep the power on and soaked all around the hydro lines. Now I'll get the quad out and go see what my dad's up to. Yesterday when it was raining, there was a nice rainbow out and I got a little video, so that'll be in the next slide. 9:30 and I'm just leaving the kingdom. Had a nice little conversation with my dad about what might happen in the next couple days here, but we are prepared. He's gonna head around and start topping up the fuel on everything, and then when he's done, we'll head into WHO-ville and go fill the slip tank and the jerry cans and get that prepared, because when the power goes out, we won't be able to get any fuel. If we do run out of fuel, all the cats and machines and trucks in the yard here all have fuel in them, so we'll just siphon out of those. We will be okay. Now let's head into WHO-ville and wait for my dad to be ready. 10:30 and I just came up to get some fuel, waiting for my dad to bring the 39 around. That way we can fill up the slip tank and a few jerry cans. I also brought the small jerry can for the water pump, and I'll top that up plus the quad. $11 a.m. and I just got back from getting fuel. I noticed that the fire is starting to pick up out there, so I'll head over to the mine site and do a little video for you guys to show you how big it's getting. I won't be able to talk out there because it is pretty windy here right now. Then I'll head over to the kingdom and see what my dad's up to. Made it to the kingdom after doing my little video on the mine site. I couldn't talk out there because of how windy it is, but as you can see, that fire is taking off, so now it's just a waiting game to see when the power will go out. My dad's gonna get on the loader and move the power source and a few other things around. I'm gonna head back into WHO-ville, and I have to find my knee brace because my knee is acting up with this weather changing. forgot to do a video on the receipts. This here was for the diesel slip tank, as you can see. It was kind of expensive. And then this was the gas slip tank, plus my quad and my small little jerry can for the water pump.
Okay, since how today is a day of waiting, we still have hydroelectric power, which they thought the forest fire known as Lightning McQueen would have taken out the main hydro lines coming to WHO-ville. But I guess the fire was slowed down yesterday. Hard to believe in that wind. All right, so let's take a look around the kingdom. We have those slip tanks. We have a fuel tank. And a tank there. The tank sign shed is actually a fuel tank. Another fuel tank. Another fuel tank. And then over here, we have all these fuel tanks. All right, let's walk to get out of the wind and we'll do some explaining. Okay, growing up in the south in Alexander, Manitoba in the pink house, we hung around with the farmers and everything like that. We helped with the combining, harvesting and everything like that. All right, so everybody had these fuel tanks up on stands. Okay, the 500-gallon one was popular and the little single axle fuel truck would stop by the farm to fill it. And then everybody got bigger equipment, so they went for 1,000-gallon tanks up on a stand. And then it became popular to have these ones that sit on the ground. Then they put a pump in the end there. But the key to the thing is, the government says we have to be certified. So it had to have these tags here telling all the dimensions and size. And then they were legal to be used on the farm and everything. So then when I came up north, yes, up north, I was doing scrap metal. And these old tanks up here and over here like that, they were getting changed out because they were single wall tanks. Everything had to be enviro tanks. And being in the scrap metal business for so long, I could sign off on those tanks. So I could take them as scrap metal and assure the government they were never used again as fuel tanks, because we made sheds out of them, repurposed them and used this steel in them. Okay, so everybody is asking, and they've been asking for quite a few years, why don't we use one of these tanks here for fuel? It is simple. Let's go to the other tank. Okay, this is what the government wants, is these enviro tanks are a double wall tank. So inside this thing, I think there's a space of 4 inches and there's another wall inside. So it's a 2-wall tank, put a single floor. I think that's what it is. All right, so we got this tank here. We made a shed out of it. Yes, that's the best thing you can do, is make a shed out of it. All right, so it has all the tags and everything like that. I could have done some paperwork and everything like that. See, there's the big fancy tag saying when it was built, what year it is, yada, yada, yada. I could have done the paperwork and had this tank, how to say, certified in the yard with the permitting, and have the fuel truck from Thompson, Manitoba travel up here when they're dropping fuel at other places, come here and put fuel in this tank. I would save a lot of money. But in actuality, it would cost me more than buying locally. I'm not saving money by putting fuel in this tank, okay? Yeah. So once this tank is registered with the government, the environmental people come along and then say, oh, there's been an upgrade on these tanks. You have to do this and this and that and this and that. So then they come back for another inspection and it's just endless. Yes, it's endless because these government people have to justify their jobs. So they'll come up with harebrained ideas saying it has to be painted. We have to put gravel around the bottom of a certain grade or whatever. It's an endless money pit. So all you're doing is walking around with a sign on your back like in high school saying, kick me. That's it. And then everybody walks by and kicks you in the bum. Yeah. So that's why we don't do it. We found an easy way to do it. Okay, the best way to avoid permits and regulations and rules of the government is go buy barrels. There are rules on barrels and stuff like that, but they're not, how would you say, not as dramatically enforced. Like they don't come here and threaten to beat you up because you have too many barrels or whatever. But also too, barrels are easy to clean up. If they do have a hole, there's only 205 liters or 45 gallons US coming out of, no, that would be 55 gallons US. So if there's a limited amount that could spill, okay, within code or whatever, it's not that dramatic. But the thing is also too, when we're running the welder, oh, we're at the welding sleigh right here. Can you see that, Les Nessman? All right, so if we're running the welder, that's 205 liters. We know how many hours we can go with the welder running steady under load. And we have another barrel right here. So the government doesn't like it when the barrels get dented, but that's no problem. We have another solution. Okay, in the kingdom, oh, happy Independence Day for everybody yesterday. And the Monty Python family flag from Maryland. Yeah, it's Maryland. All right, so there's 2 sleighs loaded with barrels. There's 40 barrels per sleigh. That's 10 tons of fuel product in there. Plus we have barrels over here. So if they complain about a barrel being dented and it could possibly leak, we just go find another barrel. But that's the way we do it. Okay, we also learned a long, long time ago when the earth was green, before the Swedish kid was even born. This is a TD6, and the manufacturers back in the day, made the gas tank or the fuel tank run for one shift. Yes, 12-hour shift or 10-hour shift. So that's how it would work. So you go to a bigger cat, the TD9, it has a bigger fuel tank because that fuel tank will run this bigger motor for one shift or 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours. I forget what it is, but that's how it works out. So each one of these tanks holds a lot of fuel. Okay, a quick scan or scroll around the kingdom. Look at all the fuel tanks. The big trucks have big fuel tanks, so they're good fuel storage. The Screaming Ford has 3 fuel tanks on it for running the winter road, so we can go up the winter road and come back. The green toy has 2 fuel tanks. The cats have bigger fuel tanks, like the D6 and the TD18 have rather large fuel tanks. Okay, now we're back over here at the power source, and that's the fuel tank that hung on the bottom of the semi-trailer. That's within code, so if that tank ever gets damaged, there's only so many liters or gallons of fuel that spill out on the ground, which is in code, so there's not extreme cleanup. That's why we shoved it in here, and this thing is all the same as if it was mounted on the semi-trailer. The exhaust, everything is the same. The exhaust coming out the side is the same, okay? So that's why we made sure it's like this. So somebody complains that the power source is at the staff's house, it's running, it's too loud, or we could spill fuel. Well, guess what? There it is. This is all within code of the highways. Yeah, for traveling up and down the highways. But in WHO-ville, they might find another reason. Okay, so over here, to get rid of the fuel today before we went, we topped everything up. And then any extra fuel we put in the back of the snow truck over there, because that's a TD18 gas tank or diesel tank that we filled with gas. So there's a lot of fuel, easy to get out with a pump down the top. And we filled up this one, so we emptied out the slip tank. So the thing is, we have lots of fuel here in the kingdom for power outage, but also too, anytime you're dealing with fuel or anything like that, like the Lynn tractor there, that's 1700 liters of fuel capacity right there. And how'd you say, you got to keep it clean. Keep your yard clean, keep your fuel supplies clean, keep everything looking presentable, and then you won't have the Karens of the neighborhoods complaining on you, and then the government officials coming by with the pink book to give you pink pieces of paper because they're now finding you for doing something wrong. Yeah, so that's what we say. We do things differently in the kingdom. That's why we don't have an enviro tank or anything like that, because they cost too much money and too much government paperwork and stuff like that. For us, it's cheaper just to drive to the card lock, pay a little extra, okay, versus a slip tank or an enviro tank here in the kingdom. But in the end, we are saving money. Always have fuel on standby or on hand, because you never know when the power is going to go out. Like I think it was 2 years ago in July, the power went out for 3 days. Life was normal here in the kingdom because we have everything. All right, let's go have something. I don't even know what time it is. Maybe we can have a beverage. Oh, wait, we can't. We have to stay sober. Okay, lunchtime in the kingdom, and it's not that windy, but we got to amuse ourselves. We got to watch the skies over there and watch what the helicopters are doing and what everybody's doing, because that's our safety. All right, so back in May 2nd, the staff traveled to Thompson, Manitoba, and went to Canadian Tire. Yes, Canadian Tire, yes. All right, picked up this. I think it was probably $100 with taxes and everything. It's the Tremclad gloss aluminum. All right, the reason why she bought that was to paint over here, to give the whole shack some curb appeal. Yes, and we're so glad we didn't waste the paint on painting it up to make it look good like the loader shed door, because it would be pointless. Right now we're living in fear of the forest fire. We could have lost it a couple of times now, so we're not going to waste the paint. Today we're going to splash the paint all over the power source. Yes, the power source, to give it some curb appeal while it's sitting at the staff's house running, because I imagine people are going to take pictures and send it off to, the Karens of WHO-ville will take pictures and send it off to somebody. And we have the panels over there. I think we can find some other paint that's not dried out. We'll splash the paint there, so it'll look good. We'll give it curb appeal for the staff to make it look good sitting in front of her house. All right, let's go burn some lunch in the microwave while we watch the fires.
1 p.m. and I'm just finishing up lunch, and I'll head up to the mine site and do a little video on the fire. You can kind of see it through the trees here, so I'll head over there and get a better video for you guys, then go over to the kingdom and see what my dad's doing this afternoon. 1:30 and I made it to the kingdom after checking how the fire is doing across the mine site there. I did a little video, and that'll be in the next slide. The video I did, the first fire that you see is in behind WHO-ville. That is the ex-wife fire flaring up again. Then the other 2 fires that you're seeing are the Lightning McQueen fires taking off like we knew they were going to. Now I'm going to hold some cardboard against the mesh. That way my dad can paint the power source. Got all the mesh painted on the power source. Now my dad will go around and continue painting the whole thing. He'll probably have to do 2 coats in some spots, but at least it'll look nice. Won't be all rusted in some parts. Plus it'll keep it from rusting even more. He already did the roof. Now he's just working on the backside. I'll head back into WHO-ville and wait to see if the power goes out. 2 p.m. and I just came back up to the mine site so I could watch the fire for a few minutes. I was told they do have some water bombers coming. They are going to try their best to keep it away from the hydro lines. 2:30 and I just got back from sitting on the mine site watching the fire. You can see the Ex-Wife fire flaring up and then the Lightning McQueen fire off into the distance as well. I will be keeping a close eye on it. We do still have power at the moment, which is good.
Okay, coffee time in the kingdom. We splash the black paint over here. Doesn't that look good? We get it everywhere. We splash it on thick. Yes, just like my ladies. All right, so we splashed it on over here, and it looks good. Yes, that's why we like that aluminum, silver, whatever, because it flows the farthest and everything like that. We're not worried about the interior in here. We'll worry about that another day. But I was well worth the $100. Now, if I spent that $100 at Daisy May's Escort, all I'd have is memories. But now we have a power source, which has increased in resale value at my state auction by $5. Yes, $5. All right, let's see what the flags are doing over here. They seem to be confused. One blowing one way, one blowing the other way. But also, too, the fire is over there. And if the wind changes, it can be in WHO-ville right quick. And we've seen that happen. Like, I think it was Friday. Was it Friday or Thursday? That wind changed right quick. Within 10 minutes, it was blowing 90 degrees from coming to WHO-ville. And then it's towards the hydro line. All right, let's go have a coffee and reflect and enjoy. Oh, I worked so hard splashing that paint. Okay, after coffee in the kingdom, and we're not sure what's going on. Yes, we're not sure. I was in the house there looking at checking my Facebook Messenger and stuff like that, and watching on the cameras the paint is drying on the power source, but the power was flickering on and off. All right, so the next thing we got here to appease the boss, because it's too early in the day to quit and drink beer. Oh wait, we can't drink beer. All right, so that tank shed was behind that tank shed. Then we moved it out last summer because we want everything in that tank shed to go in Trailer 9 for my estate auction. So whoever buys Trailer 9 gets all the Caterpillar cat parts. Yes, because they're in that shed. See, we were thinking, what are we going to do with this shed? What are we going to do? But take a look at the welds or the torching I did back in the day. I did some nice torching. Look at that. Isn't that nice? We can actually weld this door shut. I didn't get carried away hacking it out, except for the beam on the top. We'll take this beam out because we can repurpose, reuse it somewhere else. We can seal this tank up and put it beside the house. I think this tank is 5,000 gallons or 6,000 gallons of water. So then that will give us, with the tanks we have already in the kingdom, that'll give us almost 8 hours to 10 hours of firefighting capabilities. Or sprinkler action. Yes, I can put my Speedo on and run around the yard for 10 hours. Yes, run through the sprinklers just like when I was a kid. So now we're going to put the pallet on the forks here. We already did that. All right, open the door and start taking stuff out and put in Trailer 9. I don't think we'll get much done today because 1, we don't feel like doing it. 2, we don't feel like doing it. And 3, I'm old.
4 p.m. and I just came to the kingdom to see what my dad was up to, and it looks like he's tinkering away in the tank shed here. We're going to convert that back into a water tank. As he's doing that, I look over here and the Ex-Wife fire is making another appearance. It's gotten a lot bigger since my video at 2 p.m. 4:30 and I just made it back from the kingdom. Now I will run my sprinklers. Since there's no one really left in WHO-ville, I can leave my sprinklers out where they're supposed to be. That way I don't have to keep hauling them back and forth to the house. Now let's run the sprinklers for a good 10 minutes to soak the yard and the house. 5:30 and I just came to the kingdom to see what my dad was up to, and it looks like he was able to get a bunch of stuff out of the tank shed here. Now he's going to lift this up and then take this pallet over to Trailer 6 and drop it off. He'll bring a tote over and put the rest of the tank stuff in the tote. I'll show you how much is left. There's maybe 1 tote and a pallet left in here, and that's about it. Then tomorrow we'll take the shelves down and start sealing up all the holes on the side here. That way when the tank is full of water, it doesn't leak. Over at trailer 6, now my dad will bring that sided pallet over here and slide it in. That way it's out of the elements and we can sort it out later. It'll end up going into a different trailer, but for now at least it'll be out of the tank shed. Got the sided pallet into trailer 6, no problem. Now my dad went to go get a tote down by the wood pile. Then he'll come back up and put this into the tote. Look what I found on the ground by the quad. Wonder how long that's been there for. Has a lot of sand packed into it. Got it into the tote, no problem. Now my dad can pack stuff around it and fill this tote up. 6 p.m. and I just got back from the kingdom. Now I'll head inside and let the dogs out, then figure out what to make for supper. I think I'll just have something easy like craft dinner. Since the power is supposed to go off here at some point, I don't want to make pork chops or hamburger helper, get halfway through it and then the power goes out. I won't be able to eat it. So let's head inside and make supper and end my day.
Okay, I'm inside the tank. Can you tell it? It's better to have echoing than wind noise. All right, we like seeing these old writings. Yes, just like mine exploring. Yes, let's see what those guys wrote with their carbide tip or lamps or whatever. So here we are inside a tank. When did this guy build it? What was he doing? And it says 5,000 or 50,000 liters. I don't know. All right, so the tank is officially empty. I did it myself, yes. We got that tote right full, put it away, and we got this stuff here. These are spare parts of the D6 9Us, but they don't have to be inside storage. They can be up on the boat dock, and we can find them in the winter because we'll take a picture. So we'll take down the apparatus here and call it a day. I'm sore. I should have made that painting last longer, and then I wouldn't have to be over here, how'd you say, working out. Okay, 7 o'clock and we got that shed ready to become a water tank tomorrow. Yes, I think it's going to be a 2-day welding job because I'll be welding sober. Now if I could drink, it wouldn't be a 1-day project because the rods would flow. Yes, just like the beverage. All right, so the power unit, the power source looking good. Yes, we may have to put some trim around the door to emphasize it, to give it character. All right, so let's scroll this way. The flags are actually calm. We got everything done. Being 7 o'clock, and of course the staff is pointing out the ex-wife forest fire is livening up over here. I believe she's going to be the one to come back to WHO-ville to try and burn the south side, because that Lightning McQueen is over here. He's just a young fire. He's just like in the movie Cars. He's got speed and going. He'll go that way and burn himself out. Where the ex-wife, she's here for a long time. She's coming back this way, just like an ex-wife in real life. She's going to make our life miserable. All right, so I think we still have power in the kingdom, or power in WHO-ville, and look at the flags. All right, let's go walk the dogs, make a video, and enjoy some 7-Up. Talk to you later.